We're so glad you're here.
Yes. Yay.
And make sure you do your writing journal today. And so this year has been different than any other school year before.
For sure.
So what are some good differences? Let's look for that silver lining, okay? And then what are some of the challenging differences? And how can we make this year great despite all of those things, okay? So think about that. Our weekly agenda, make sure you're checking this every day so that you can kind of keep an idea of what we're doing. And then our weekly objectives, by the end of this week, we will have checked off all of these boxes. And then our new essential question.
Woohoo!
Is,
I like this one.
I know, so do I. What can you learn by seeing the world through an animal's eyes?
Okay, so we're going to start talking about point of view, and I'm sure that you've heard about this throughout the years, but we're going to get a little deeper this year. So we know that point of view is the vantage point or the perspective from which a story is told. So the author's choice of narrator, the voice that's telling the story, depends on whose perspective the author wants to show. In a work that's told from a first-person point of view, the narrator is a character in the story. In a work told from the third-person point of view, the narrator is not a character in the story. So third-person narrators can be omniscient, meaning they know everything, or limited, which means they know only certain aspects of the story. And so you're going to use the diagram that I'm going to put up to help you determine which point of view Pax is told from. So we see here that the narrator is an outside observer, not a character. The narrator tells a story using third-person pronouns, she, he, her, him, they, and then I and we are used only in dialogue. So this must be a third-person point of view, if these are the characteristics. So we're going to practice a little bit, okay?
Okay.
If we have this story, what would be the point of view? Denise twirled her hair as she watched the actors on stage. She wished for the thousandth time that she had the courage to try out. As Danny walked by, she couldn't help but think about how cool it would be to act alongside him. So I see here, Denise is a character in the story, but she is not telling the story. I see these third-person pronouns, her, she, and I also see what she is thinking. Since I can see what she is thinking, this is third-person omniscient. So the narrator in the story knows what is going on in all the characters' brains. As I walked through the woods, I noticed the sound of the birds, and I remembered my sweet parakeet at home.
Aww, bless it.
So the narrator here is actually in the story. I see I and I. So and my. So this must be a first person. This is a first person story. Do you realize how lucky you are? You can't imagine what it's like in other places. So this one we didn't mention before, but when a narrator is speaking directly to the reader, it's a second person. So if you see words like you and your, that's a second person point of view. Sarah and Lila worked together on the project silently, each worrying how they would be able to finish by the due date. So I see the narrator is not in the story. We're talking about these two characters, and we see what they're each thinking about. So again, this is third person omniscient. So the narrator has the ability to know what every character is thinking. So we will continue practicing this. As you read each story, think about the perspective, the point of view in which it's told.
All right, so let's infer today. We learned this yesterday. We started doing these, and we're going to do them a little bit every day. So answer this question. What is one inference you can make about the person in the photograph? So look at that photo. It's a man holding his phone. And then I want you to kind of think in your head, what do you think about that photo? What do you think he's doing? Where do you think he's going?
Well, I notice he's wearing a suit.
Ah.
It looks like he might be in a city because there are buildings behind him.
Well, and I noticed that he has a cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
and he's wearing his glasses, and he's got his coat. Maybe
Like
he's
an
got a
overcoat?
jacket over his arm. So let's use our format and let's make an inference about this. So Ms. Cook, what is your inference?
I infer that the man just got a bad text from his boss because he's looking at his phone and frowning.
Good inference. That is definitely something to look at. Look at his facial features. Okay, Miss Norman, what do you think your inference is going to be?
I'm gonna say I infer that this man is late for a meeting because he's looking at his phone and he looks a little worried.
Okay,
That's a good one.
I'm going to make my inference. I infer that this man is hungry because he's looking at places on his phone where he's going to go and eat.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He has that look to me. So none of those inferences necessarily were correct or incorrect, but we used the picture to help us make that inference. Just like when we're reading, we're using our text to back up our thoughts and what we infer. I know we did that a lot with our story last week, The Ravine. We had a lot of thoughts about things, but we couldn't necessarily prove them. So we had to kind of watch where our inferences were going.
And speaking of hungry, I feel a little hungry.
I feel a little hungry.
A
A dessert break.
Well,
Perfectly.
I'm hungry now,
Yeah.
so let's continue.
Okay, so this week we are reading the story Pax. And yesterday we previewed that text, and so we kind of got a little overview about the story, but kind of maybe what it was about. Today we're going to read it and we're going to analyze it a little bit. And so you're going to listen to the story. Please make sure you pull up that PDF so you can follow along. That's always really helpful for me. And it's going to help you identify any words that you don't know. And so read and analyze Pax, and then you are going to go and complete those check your understanding questions and your vocabulary practice questions today. And on that vocabulary practice, remember, you can use your study guide, guys.
We want you to use your story and your study guide on the
Yes.
practices. Please
do
make
that.
a 100. It's easy. It's right there.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to keep working on complex sentences. I've noticed when you're writing your sentences for your vocabulary tests and such, you're doing a lot better with remembering capitals and remembering periods and just getting a little bit more in depth. That's great 6th grade work.
It sure is.
So once again, we're going to identify the dependent clause. Remember, your dependent clause starts with one of those subordinating conjunctions. Sharon ate a donut while Katie drank coffee. Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Shellsworth, what do you think is the dependent clause?
Well, I'm going to look for my subordinating conjunction, and I'm also looking for that part of the sentence that gives a little extra that can not hold on by itself. And I see Sharon ate a donut. That makes sense as a complete thought. I see my subordinating conjunction while Katie drank coffee.
Yes, exactly. While Katie drank coffee, it's a little bit of extra information that cannot stand alone as a sentence. Although I really wanted to, I didn't go to the party. Aww. What do you think, Miss Norman?
Well, I'm going to look for my keywords, my subordinating conjunctions, and I do see one with although. And so I'm going to go from although until that comma and say that although I really wanted to is the dependent clause.
Exactly. I love to eat salsa even though it's spicy. So this one's a little bit trickier. This is a 2-word subordinating conjunction. And it's even though. I could say I love to eat salsa, and that's a sentence all by
Stands all by
itself. That is our
itself.
independent clause. Even though it's spicy is my dependent clause. It adds a little extra information. It has that subordinating conjunction. And that's true, I do love salsa.
I do
Me
love
too.
spicy salsa.
Well, I don't like my salsa too spicy.
Oh.
So when you finish, go ahead and try this practice. You're going to be identifying some dependent clauses on your own.
And today we're going to start writing a fictional narrative from the point of view of an animal or an object. So today I want you to really focus on thinking about, first of all, I want you to think about your character. Do you want to write from a dog's point of view, a cat, a cow, a donkey, or an object? So it doesn't have to be an animal. I could write a story from the point of view of a pen, from a pair of scissors, from a stapler, from a baseball.
Oh.
It can be anything. So today I want you to really think about where you want your story to come from. And I want you to choose an animal or an object. So get that in your mind. And I want you to think about how your character sees, hears, touches, smells, and tastes. So what I would say is maybe find a piece of paper at your house, and I want you to write your ideas down. Today, you don't really have to put anything down in the slide that we're giving you. Those of us that are at school, we're just putting our thoughts on paper. So get a piece of paper and put down what your object or your animal is, and tell me some things that they're going to hear, see, touch, smell, and taste in the story, and kind of come up with your setting and your plot. What's going to happen in that story? Is there a conflict? Most stories have some kind of a conflict. What's the theme of your story going to be? And I want you to just get that part today. So on a piece of paper, get all of those thoughts down, because we're going to work on this a little bit every day. And I don't want you to just go and put stuff on paper or put stuff in your Chromebook and turn it in and not really sit and let it resonate with you and sit with you. Good writers don't just write in one sitting. It takes them a while. And so at school, we're working on this a little bit every day. That's why it's not due until Friday. So I want you to take this one step and let it sit overnight so that tomorrow we can take step 2.
Awesome. And then guys, when you've gone through all of your slides and watched your teacher video and make sure you can check off every one of those boxes, you're done for the day.
Enjoy
Yay.
the story packs.
Yes. Now our box is still here, and for some reason it just hit me. I was like, this box is so pretty.
Chloe Stanford to the front, please. Chloe Stanford.
It is.
This box is so pretty, and I would like to color on this box.
Me too.
Me too.
But right now, let's try and figure out what's in the box.
So the thing today, I'll give you one clue. You have to break it to use it.
A glow stick?
Oh my
That was my
goodness!
thought too.
That was an excellent
That
guess.
was mine
Oh
too.
my goodness, yes!
You win the prize.
We bought some of these this weekend. That's the only reason
That's
I
funny.
do.
All right,
Oh.
guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.